the latter stages of the 7th round now, with Seattle quarterback just going off the board. We have Dennis Young coming up next here to close out the 7th final 3 picks. He needs a wide receiver group, as does Larry ahead of him. So you're likely to see him go here to box out Larry and get who he desires. We just saw Butch go Seattle quarterback to box out Brian. But let's take a trip backwards first before we go too far ahead. And I think where we left off last was KCA wide receiver. Buffalo halfback taken by Dennis. Predicted that here was the right move. The Greg Bell will give you pretty much the last sort of respectable running game where the defense will provide some significant respect. And he does it in one fell swoop, which is what Dennis needed, just what the doctor ordered for Ramstein. Butch went to see St. Louis halfbacks, and I think I talked in the last show that Stump Mitchell wasn't around. Well, and he was taken off from some other unit. That was incorrect. So Mitchell's there. Mitchell adds to Otis Anderson somewhat. You see, I mean, you get some short gains dotted in, something there. Nothing. You get that beautiful long gain deep. Pretty good long pass card, but pretty good pass catcher all around. And you see a not a very good punt returner with the fumble on 10. And a pretty decent kickoff returner. So he goes St. Louis. It's a drop-off from Buffalo. I was recommending Denver after Buffalo. And you see Willie went Denver later. But really, with Mitchell there, it's kind of splitting hairs. So I can see why you'd go St. Louis there. Then St. Louis DL went next for John, pushing him presumably into a 4-3 because you would pick up 2-4 interior defensive tackles. So to go 3-4 means you go with a 0 nose tackle. Wouldn't want to do that. Tyke Pittsburgh defensive line to pair with his Pittsburgh linebackers. And just take a look at these defenses here. We're looking at good for Tyke. We're looking at the 3-4. And then we are looking, Pittsburgh, Chicago. And we're looking out of the 4-3 for John. Going to go St. Louis, Chicago, Green Bay, and then we'll go at run average good. So those got solidified with those picks along the defensive line. Bob, Washington wide receivers. Look, I understand why you go receiver there. Makes sense to me mostly. No need to go DB yet. So you pick the best of what's available, but I'm just not thrilled with Washington as a receiving core. When you stack them up and you put everybody back in, I got Washington as the 14th best pairing, 15th best 3 wide. Just not even the single best receiver on the squad is 13th. So I'm not feeling that pick in terms of who's selected. I get the position, though. You talked about Willie going to the Denver halfbacks. And then Dennis goes to Cincinnati special teams. And there he's picking up a couple sort of unique assets, which will hopefully spice up his team a little bit, or he's hoping. One would be Mike Martin, the punt returner, who is spectacular on 55 on 3, keeps his fumble on 11, and then dots it in with a 23 and a 36 and another 12. So he can do some real damage. And also picks up Stanford Jennings in the backfield. Fumbles a little bit, but as you can see here, gets some short gains on the outside to bolster that running game, which is going to need to be bolstered as Wendell Tyler was taken next. I imagine Dennis was eyeing Tyler. Maybe came down to Cincy or Tyler here. On the spot went Cincy, hoping Tyler would work his way back, perhaps. Didn't happen. Tyler, nice card, but we talked about it many, many times. Big fumble. So you're going to be fumbling once a game with Tyler, at least. Brings you a pretty Pretty nifty card. Goes deep, runs all 3 lanes pretty well. Not a home run threat, but this late, a very nice running card. But beware the fumbles. Then we see Denver linebackers going to Nicholas. Does that close out Nicholas's defense? It does not. We await the defensive line selection. We assume 3-4, just because Denver's 3-4 linebacking crew, but there's no way to get to good at this point. So I'm going to guess he's going to stay in the way. That could change. It could easily change. We shall see. For Nicholas, then San Francisco wide receivers. Toby goes San Fran here. I like San Fran wide receivers. Would have been my number 1 choice. Giants a close second, but I was going to take these guys as my first choice just because I'm going to look like I'm going to be more of a flat passing team with Steve Fuller. And I like the fact that even the 3rd wide receiver here brings you a long gain, guest right, flat pass, as does Dwight Clark, long gain, right, flat pass, and Freddie Solomon. Unique to the who's available now to give you long gains, flat pass, right, in all 3. Otherwise, New York is rated better expected yards, but that wrinkle fit my team better, which is why I would have taken San Fran, but Toby took him ahead of me. Greg goes Seattle wide receivers. I would have not gone Seattle wide receivers, obviously. At this point, I would have gone Giants. You look at Seattle across the board. This is an above average group. If you keep everybody in there and you assume everybody's fully stocked, they've got the 4th best single receiver. Is that correct? No. 7th best single receiver in Steve Largent. When you put the pairing together, they move up to 5th. 3rd wide, when you count 3 wide receivers, they are 9th. Now compare that to the Giants. You'll see the Giants are not as good 2 wide receiver, not as good 3 wide receiver. Is that right? Sorry, not as good 1 wide receiver, not as good 2 wide receiver, but better in 3 wide receiver, and certainly better in 4 wide receiver, where Giants move up to number 2 overall. So, it depends on what you're looking for here. If you're looking in the 2 wide receiver realm only, then Seattle ranks ahead. And if you're Toby and you have Todd Christensen, that's why. I'm sorry, not Toby. If you're Greg and you have the Los Angeles fullbacks, I don't see a tight end there that rises to that level. That would get you away from the Giants. So interesting selection there. But nonetheless, a good squad, no doubt about it. Joe goes Miami halfbacks. Not a squad that we talked about often, but they've got, Tony Nathan. We flashed on the screen once, I think. Yeah, looks pretty good. Not going to hit a home run for you, but short gains. And then you got Joe Carter, 100 carries of that. Looks very Stanford Jennings-like. Does not go deep like Jennings does, but get those 2 backs. Dallas fullbacks for Ken. So I was planning on taking Dallas fullbacks too. So both of who I was going to take, Dallas fullbacks, San Francisco wide receivers, went in the last 4 picks before I went. So good pick here by Ken, in my opinion. Pick up Ron Springs at fullback, who's a 7, to bolster a line that does not exist yet for Ken. There you go. There's your 5-7. And can't do much of the run. Can do something on the pass, though. He'll play. He'll get snaps at fullback for Ken. Then you pair that with Doug Cosby, who's maxed out in the flats. Maxed out short. Nice looking long pass. So it's a combination of the 7 and Cosby there that was attractive to me. Now, came to me, I knew that Giants wide receivers probably who I'd be taking. And with my preferred tight end off the board, it's kind of like, well, I'm better off that way because I could easily make a case now, given my flat pass offense and as many 3-4 defenses as we're projecting right now. Right now, we're projecting 12 3-4s. That I might be going a lot of 3 wide, 4 wide, spreading things out. I can go 4 wide with this Giants wide receiver crew. And I don't necessarily need a pass catching tight end. It downplays it. I'd still like one, honestly, but I don't have to. Takes the pressure off, which could be really helpful. Then went with the Detroit special teams. I've been looking at getting a 4 nickel back really since I took the Green Bay halfbacks. The Green Bay halfbacks sort of rounded out my return unit because it brought with it a touchdown kickoff return. When from San Francisco's DBs, the first pick overall, I already had a punt touchdown and Dana McLemore right there. So returner's already set. So what are we gonna do with that spot? Well, I figured, I got a 0 nickel back. Let's upgrade. Well, what I didn't realize is that 4 who's out there, which is from Detroit, who's a free safety, Alvin Hall, he can play free safety in the nickel and the dime. I can move the 6 free safety to cover the third wide receiver. Didn't quite think about that. I don't even think about the 4 was going to cover the third wide receiver, and I keep the 6 back. Don't have to do that. There's no rule against it. Double checked it, triple checked it, and so that made it a slam dunk. Really, I'm kind of glad the Dallas fullbacks went now because I may have rushed myself into this sort of receiver tight end pick while I was at a little league game. Instead, this made me, the fact that these 2 went in these last 4 picks made me have to put the brakes on the pick, which is why it took 2 hours. But in those 2 hours, it was very productive. And I figured out, hey, I can get a 6 against the third wide receiver, which is just when I want to do it, which is just a really nice thing to have. Now, what it also did, I found out during that 2-hour period, is it took away potentially a good rated pass defense for Brian, who had taken the DBs from New Orleans who have a free safety 3. So with that free safety 3, if he were to upgrade, as we look for New Orleans here, yeah, if you were to upgrade to a 4, he'd get 19. And did he have 8 from his linebackers? He certainly did, right there. Could have gotten good. So he was on track for good defense if he had the Detroit special teams. I grabbed him there, and that took that away. So that made that, I thought, a pretty productive turn for the Rochester Jeffersons. Ken comes back with Tampa Bay linebackers. They're among the groups that are out there that are strong. There's a bunch of them out there. Tampa right here, if you're looking 4-3, a bunch of 7s out there. And if you're looking 3-4, Tampa also tied with some others out there in terms of run and pass. Could have gone San Diego instead. Could have gone San Francisco instead. Goes this way, presumably for some pass rush. Yeah. Get the 11 pass rush there out of your right outside linebacker, which the others do not bring. Philadelphia wide receivers for Joe. At that point, Mike Quick was the single best receiver who's available in the draft. Not quite good when you get to 2 receivers or whatnot, but you get 1, which makes you wonder when you focus on 1 receiver, which is kind of what I did in Battle Royale, getting Amari Cooper. Is Joe setting up for Full House? I don't think so. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like there's the horses there from the running attack. And he also won't have the O-line for it, as Joe's without an O-line. So we might see somebody set up in Full House. Maybe we'll talk about that in the review show, who might be candidates to do it. But might be none as well. Greg takes John Elway and Gary Kubiak. Good pairing there. Gary Kubiak, the second best flat passer in the set. Toby goes with Tony Dorsett. Not really my guy. Don't really love the card. Let's see here. Yeah. Goes deep, I think. Yeah, goes deep pretty well. Can't block. Dennis came back with Pittsburgh a little bit later and got Walter Abercrombie. Not much better. I think Dorsett fumbles more. Ehrenberg. Let's see. Ehrenberg 115, fumbled 3 times, so he's 2 point something. You've got Abercrombie 145, and he didn't fumble. So min fumbles there. Might be a pretty big differentiator with Tony D. Let's see where he washed out fumble wise. 302 with 12 fumbles. So yeah, you got a problem there. So he's treading closely to 5%, less than that, but that's yeah, between 3 and 5%, right? So a bit of fumble issue there. Nicholas goes the Giants fullbacks. Now you're picking up Zeke Moat and his 6 blocking, which is nice. And Tom probably headed out of the league here soon. You see Moat. Okay. I mean, nice yards, flat pass, that's for sure. Lottie. Okay. And Carpenter and Galbraith, I don't think bring much. Galbraith, typically a good blocker, just brings 2 block this year. Carpenter, also with 2. And little else. Of the tight ends that were out there, we had the Giants, from a receiving perspective, having the Moat being the 4th best out there on a single tight end basis. Combine the 2 together, the 3rd best unit. So could have gone Miami. Could have gone Cincinnati. That's the undisputed leader right now. Didn't do it. But I got Moat 6 block, which Cincinnati does not have. John goes New England wide receivers. Not a group I've looked at very often. I don't know, just haven't popped up in the rankings for whatever reason. NEA. Okay, so they're right on the cusp of the line for the league, as you can see here. Versus who else is out there at this point? Good question. I don't see NEA gone from this list here. Yeah, have I updated this for John's NEA wide receivers? Oh, okay, put him in the wrong spot. Right after the Giants, yeah. So right there. Let's look at them. $46.38. Steve Starring. All right. Not bad. Stanley Morgan. It's good. Irving Fryer. Hoping for more there. Hoping for more there. Not bad, but Cedric Jones. Okay. I mean, not a bad group. Get some things done. Pittsburgh halfback. Just looked at Abercrombie just now. Cincy linebackers for Willie as he's starting to get his defense rounded out here. We'll declare a 3-4 for Willie. That could change, but 3-4 after the Cincy linebackers were taken. Bob comes back with the Giant DBs, which pair up with his Jets pick to give him an extra point, but that's still not going to get him to good. It just brings him to 19. He needs 20. So he'll fall short in his bid to get good. Tyke, Detroit wide receivers. And then we see John coming back with the LA special teams, and now Dave Craig at quarterback. So who needs quarterbacks? Brian and John. So Brian likely to take a quarterback here if he likes one. If he's happy with either of the two, then you'll see him pass. It'll be a race to the bottom. Dennis, wide receiver. We talked about that before. Likely who he'll take here because he's got Larry following him. So he can come back with the DBs or kicker if he wants. Or if he sees something he likes in special teams. And it's pretty much academic from that point forward. Okay, so after Dennis, you've got Butch. Butch can go kicker. I mean, that's the choice everybody's going to have, right? You're going to go kicker, pretty much. You go kicker, or you're going to try to get the second to last or third to last in the group that you need. That's pretty much the question from here on out. And there's going to be a lot of decisions like that to be made. Among the quarterbacks left, Brian Kenny's got a bit of a fumble, but he's the best expected yards on the board, followed by both Philadelphia quarterbacks, Pisarcik and Jaws. We got the Cincinnati quarterbacks in play: Kenny Anderson, Schonert, Boomer Esiason. So there's a couple choices there. It'd be interesting to see if Brian kicks the can or not. Halfbacks, Tyke and Ken. Yeah, it's just a question of, hey, when you're Tyke here coming back, do you have a halfback that you want, or are you going to go get a premium kicker punter? We talked about the lack of premium kicker punters. Good return units. You see, we're down to a few here. Are there any TDs left on the board? If there are, then you'll see somebody stretch for those. But we're getting to the point now where it's sort of getting fairly simple equations to figure out who you're going to take, and quick sort of decisive values judgments. Hey, do I want the best available of this, or can I accept the worst, which might just be the second or third group down the list at this point. All right, we'll wrap it up right there for now. We'll see. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe we won't for another broadcast before the end of the draft, before we do a complete wrap up. Have a good day, everybody.
Big opening for Tony Dorsett. Look out, he's got great speed. 99 yards and a half. Dorsett down the sideline. Stays in bounds. Can you believe that?